friends, welcome back. I'm glad you're joining me again for our next video on, oops, I forgot to put the title up. There it is. Using HTTPS with Spring Boot in Java. So, if you were here for the last two videos, in the first one we created this Demo 2 Spring Boot application that runs in the web browser and shows just a generic error page. And then last video we created a certificate from the Java key store using the key tool. So now we're going to put those two things together and use them to run our application instead of in HTTP. We'll run it in HTTPS, which is a little bit more secure, especially when you're developing a RESTful application that uses important or personal private information that's going to be passed across the nets. Now, of course, you're not going to use a self-signed certificate in your actual deployed application, but this is kind of just an example of how you would implement a certificate in your application. So, without any further ado, let's jump right into it. So, first, what we need to do is, obviously, we've got our Eclipse open and we've got our demo application running. And if you were with me in the last two videos, then you should have essentially the same thing going on here. Now, there was an error that I encountered the last couple times I tried to record this video, and I'll talk about that in a second and how I fixed it. But for now, let's follow along here. So the first thing I want to do is actually that key store that I made in the last video. I need to go to it, and I need to copy it into this program's file folders. So if you were along with me, then you put your key store in the same place as I did last video. That's going to be in our OS's hard drive in program files, Java. This is JDK and bin. Now the key store that I made, we called it new key store, all one word, and it was a .jks. So here it is. I'm going to take this, I'm going to Control-C or copy it, and then I'm going to open up the Demo2 file folder in Windows Explorer. So that was just a right click and then show in System Explorer. Within this Demo2 file folder in Explorer, I'm going to navigate to Target, Classes, and here we should see a folder that says com and then another file that says application.properties. So I'm just going to paste the key store right in here. There we go, new keystore.jks. So I don't need this open anymore. I can come back to Eclipse now in the application. So now what I need to do is I need to tell this application, hey, we're going to be using this key store and the certificate found within it, and here's how you're going to do that. So in this next folder down, close that, collapse that. The next one that says source/main/resources, open that up, and at the bottom you should see that application.properties file. So double click on that, open it up, and we're going to add in a couple different things in here. First, we're going to tell it that we're going to be using server port 8443. Then we're going to tell it server.ssl.key alias. This is going to be the alias of the key that we made before, and if I remember correctly, it was self-signed _cert. So that's going to be the certificate from the key store that we're going to be using. Then we're going to tell it server.ssl.keystore. The key store has a password, and we need to tell it what the password is so we can access the key store. So in this case, the password was simply password, not very secure, but whatever. For my next line, server.ssl, this is going to be the key store path. Whoops, key store, and then that's going to be, equals class path, and that will be new keystore.jks. That was the key store that we just pasted into that folder. And then finally, server.ssl.keystore-type equals JKS. And there we go. That should be it. And then we can Control-S that to save it. And then now we should be able to run our application. So if I right-click this and say Run As, not that. We want to go to our actual application. Right here, Demo2 application.java. Right-click that, Run As. And if we did everything correctly, we should see the same thing populate over here, but instead of port 8080, it should be 8043. All right. And so if I go to a new tab and type in https:// localhost colon 8443, I should see that same error web page populate, but this time I'm in HTTPS. Now this is obviously just the bare bones of it. I haven't implemented any of the RESTful application portions or anything like that, which we'll do in a future video. But right now, as it is, we are now using a certificate that we generated in the Java keystore and to run it off of HTTPS instead of simple HTTP. And you may have guessed, if I try and type in the old address, HTTP colon / localhost, and just simply put in 8080, or even in this case 8443, it will not work because we are not in HTTPS in this web address here. We typed in just HTTP. And the same goes in reverse also. If you were to remove this portion of the application properties or comment it out, then what you would find is that it will only run in HTTP instead of HTTPS. So that is kind of one way to make your REST application a little bit more secure when you're running it in Java. So hopefully that was helpful to you. Again, as I mentioned before, I'm putting these videos together because these were things that were not shown to me, but I was expected to kind of know them for my classes, and I had to run at breakneck speed to catch up. So hopefully this helps you stay ahead of the game, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video when we dive into this a little bit more in detail and make this kind of a more RESTful application. All right, see you later, friends.